I want to share with you now the last two. It's kind of brief. There are two dreams, two prophetic dreams that I received. All right, now this was in 1992. It was 20 years after I had this, when I was caught up to God. It was 20 years later that I received this prophetic dream. It was very short. Like all my other prophetic, when I have prophetic dreams, I was in some kind of nondescript dream. When, like an emergency broadcast signal interruption test for the next 60 seconds, the regular dream stopped. I mean, they stop. It's very fascinating in a way. I'd be having a dream, and then when heaven wants to send me something, they pause that dream, and I get this prophetic dream. Then I saw a sky, a blue sky and clouds, and I saw my sister-in-law. My sister-in-law, she died at a very young age, and she was a devoted Christian at the time. And she was descending from those clouds. I was thrilled to see her. She looked great. She only came to say a very short sentence to me before she started to go right up again to what I knew was heaven. She said to me, "You are one of the 50. I understood it had something to do with 50 as a number of people, and on earth, alive, having something to do with something of God. However, I was too interested to ask her how heaven was as she started to float up that I didn't think to ask her what that meant. Instead, trying to find out how it was in heaven, I asked her, I'm really dumb, is there corn on the cob in heaven? Very stupid, I know. But that is what blurted out of me as she was just moving away too fast. And she just came, she said, "You're 150, she started going right up." She nodded yes as she was going up. I nodded as she was halfway up. "Do you eat it?" I was trying somehow to cling to her. She nodded as if she was hurrying up, and then she was gone. My 3-second window to ask questions gone. That's how fast it was. It was like she was only allowed to say that I was one of 50. Like she really wanted to deliver me this information and then had to go back. I didn't know what to make of that at the time, as I was not doing anything for God. In fact, what I was still doing was I was sowing wild oats that kept me far from God. Yet I tucked that away because it had that prophetic dream situation to it. And it had felt exactly the same as when she had come to tell me she was coming to Miami minutes after she had passed. She had been in Germany at the time, and I had a prophetic dream at the very moment she had passed, unknown to me. That she appeared to me to tell me she was coming to Miami, and she did. And it deceased a few days later. As you can see, though, that God is a detailed planner, and whatever it is, he doesn't leave it up to one person. And I'm talking now about what she had told me, that I'm one of 50. So you see, I'm not like the person. For whatever it is God has assigned me for having to do with the last days of grace, I'm one in the game plan of 50 the Lord has done, because the Lord doesn't plan sloppily. If perhaps it is so, if some fail to sin, there's others in this net. But what I'm doing was something that my sister-in-law was glad to share with me, because she wanted me to know. I'm one of 50 doing things for the Lord. Later on, when I had started a business selling rosaries, I had wondered if that was what she meant. One of 50 people doing rosaries on the internet, as I had several sites, but I wasn't sure. However, after I got revelation that led me out of the Catholic faith and out of Marian activity entirely, I knew that wasn't it. It was only after I had 2 more experiences that I understood it has something to do with this information and the passing season of grace, which brings me to this last prophetic dream I'm going to share with you. In this dream, now like I said, everything that I'm sharing with you it has to do concerning me, why you should believe me when I'm sharing, that I'm telling you that I was gone away to see God, and what I had to say. In fact, that all these other things throughout my channel. I have experiences where I've had angels came. You can hear my angel talk. I mean, this is not a joke. You actually hear the angel's voice. Okay, so anyways, I'm trying to tell you, these are true things, and it kind of grieves me. It reminds me of that Isaiah 53. I tell the Lord, who will believe what they have been told? I mean, because I have some amazing things to share. They're pretty amazing. You think the TV be at my doorstep? Angel? No. It's like I'm talking about, I crossed the street and I bought a lottery ticket. That's the kind of reaction you get out of people. And well, you know what? I'm just going to be as faithful as I can to share it. Whether or not people receive it, it's really not for me to deal with that part. I'm to be faithful, and I'm going to be as faithful as I can. And I'm going to repeat it as often as I can, because these things are important. They have to deal with salvation. It's a lot more important than I went across the street to buy a lottery ticket, which, by the way, I do not buy. I used to, the old me. In this dream, this one happened December 31st, 2011. I write these prophetic dreams because, the prophetic dreams, I know they are. I found myself sitting in a hall. I was sitting in one of 3 chairs. A man was sitting in the chair to the right of me. This man, he was some kind of scholar, like a tenured emeritus scholar, with Jewish features. His hair was distinctive too, Einsteinish hair, in that it was frizzy, a controlled frizzy, except instead of white, it was dark brown with varying gray, and not as out and frizzy as Einstein's hair, partly from the weight of the length, which came almost to his shoulder pad area. The kind of hair you expect on an intellectual Nobel Prize winning man. A Nobel Prize winning man. I didn't say that clear enough. From the aura I got from him, he seemed wealthy and rich, like he was enormously successful scholar, top in his field. I got the impression he had come to be with me. He held my right hand. It was the manner in which he held it that was incredible. He held my hand like I was a very precious artifact, only of which he recognized how enormously precious, yet it was matter of fact. We got up from the chairs and we were walking out to a parking lot. I wanted to know who he was, yet because it was so nice how he was holding my hand, this manner, I let him lead me like everything was okay, even though I didn't know who he was. And he just appeared out of the crowd purposely to come to sit and hold my hand. Me, the subject of his visit. We came to what was his car. I wanted to ask him a question. If I had not wanted to ask him a question, I understood he would have been gone. He conceded to it, and he opened the passenger door for me. And I went in, yet found myself not seated in the front passenger side, but the back right-hand seat. All this time, I was holding my little short-haired dachshund, who was my pet in reality, like Dorothy held Toto through The Wizard of Oz, being girlish and childish, holding on to my doggie, something this man had no issue with or even any kind of reaction to, as if that was all fine, understanding me to the core, that inside I really was childlike and girlish, and totally accepting me as I was, which was a non-issue to him, whoever he was. As I sat in the back seat holding my dog, and I waited for him to go around the car, he went in the driver's side, shut the door. Then he turned back to me. I asked him the burning question in my mind, who he was. He said, I specialize in seasons, the passing of seasons, stressing the word passing, looking at me like I was that season in passing. The way he said the word seasons was not like the regular seasons of nature, like seasons of the weather, seasons of biological things, but crucial passing seasons that were extremely momentous and important in divine significance. Somehow, according to the way he treated me, through the way he had held my hand, and the way he looked at me, he conveyed I was a super key piece, key enough to get him treating me that way, a timing of which he was a scholar of. And he was now himself at a place and space in this phenomenon where he got involved, as if the momentous divine season was now officially in progress. How I was so important, I don't know. It was almost as if the me there with him, like the me here that was typing this, didn't realize yet my role, and had not yet done what I was going to do, but of which he had full knowledge of, and of which was absolutely, undoubtedly a crucial piece, something that was his specialty to work with to the successful passing of each momentous season, of which he alone had the full knowledge to understand and monitor. At first, I was glad for the answer, and at the same time found it interesting. Then I felt a sudden feeling of panic. A panic at the thought to be temporary, to soon have no importance to him, and be yesterday's news, and that I would no longer be an issue at one point. At that time, my alarm went off. Even though the alarm interrupted the dream, I found myself reasoning with myself as I got out of bed to get over the panic I hated, that the apostles' seasons passed, and they did not become forgotten no ones. They have their secure eternal place in heaven, and their teachings still yet continue to have relevant super impact. Reflecting that gave me some calm, though I had not started writing of the book that I had months later. When I had this prophetic dream, it was before I knew I would have a Christian album out, that I would be working on a book, that the enemy would actually visit me in March 2013, 9 weeks later, which I have a video here. I did my best to recreate what happened. It was incredible. With plans to do me in, to stop me, to stop something they really are super distressed about. Now, I'm telling this, I tell you this because I want you to be like the faithful servant Jesus spoke of in the parable. The servant who was awake and ready for his master's coming, whenever that will be. Now I am afraid, really, that what this passing season is the passing season of grace. What this means is the reality shown to me in 1972 that God's day of wrath is coming on the horizon, and the season that the Lord is extending for grace is already in effect. The season he's extending grace, and it is passing, and that is grace for repentance, grace to walk right with him, to be found walking right when he comes, and ready to go. This is what's passing. From my background of prophetic dreams, I wouldn't take this information lightly. I would take it to heart to get right with the Lord while the window for grace is yet available. I just want to add here, I don't make a penny on Pastor Hill's sale of his book. Pastor Hill, for those who have not heard of him, passed away in 2014. So the message in this book is from a late pastor, not a pastor who is alive today in an existing ministry. I feature it. The reason I show it here, you can find the details by watching my video on the dream that the Lord gave me that ties up 8 years of my being led by the Lord in this separate mission He gave me